1 meter's a bit of a struggle because Andrew's not the strongest or fastest kid in the contest, but he's very consistent.
49.50, a total score of 364.75. What's the disparity there? You have Judge 6 with a 5.5 score, and then a couple of judges with an 8.5 and one with an 8. How can you have that differing of an opinion from a score standpoint?
That's a question for the ages. I could say that because of the way we compute our scores, if there's a rogue score, very high, very low compared to the others, it's immediately thrown out of the calculations. The 2 highest scores and the 2 lowest scores are thrown out prior to calculating the diver's score. So why would that occur, though? Why would that occur with such frequency? That is a good question to discover over time.
So Darian Schmidt makes way for Hank Dussard. Schmidt, 46.25. He's currently atop the leaderboard at 432.20. Danton Rogers second coming into this round. Alex Beck, Andrew Kramer, Hank Dussard, Joshua Batten, Dathan Schmidt, and Alex Jones.
Hank did a nice job with this back 1 1/2 somersault, 1 1/2 twist. He left it a little short, but he kept good form. Nice toe point, nice straight legs, good body form in and out of the twisting action.
Alex Beck from Portage will be next, as we mentioned. He among the top 10, 335.65 his point total. Dussard with a total round of 43.75.
So we see there are some judging preferences that differ from one judge to the next. Some judges on that particular dive might have gone 4.5, 5 if they just felt it was too short of vertical. Other judges might be up in the 6 range if they were just impressed by the form and the good mechanical movements of the dive. Darian has been dominating this contest and certainly led off with a good first round dive. This is going to be a complication. He got a little bit too steep on his 107C front 3 1/2 somersaults tuck. It's a very difficult skill to begin with. If you throw it straight up, you don't get a sense of spin or orientation in space. It's preferred you take a dive like that out a little bit so you could drill the entry.
Well, his low score, a couple of 2s. The high score, a 4. He scores just 30 points in that particular round.
That actually made this contest a battle to the last round because Darian had quite an umbrella of space in front of him.
That disappeared rapidly. Eric Ziggin from Carmel is next, the sophomore.
This was an odd square out action of a foot first reverse twister, 1 somersault with 1 1/2 twist. Very impressive reverse 2 1/2 somersaults tuck. It's a pressure round coming into the final dive or 2 here at the state championship meet, and these judges are ready to reward those who've performed all day long.
Judge 6 with a 5.5, a 6, a couple of 8.5s, and a high of 9.5 by judge number 5. He scored 64.50 in that round.
It's a huge degree of difficulty and great judging points to complement that calculation, multiplying the judges' mean scores by 3 on that dive, as opposed to, say, 1.5 on an inward dive pike.
Jonah Snyder up next from Carroll of Fort Wayne.
We've got some movement on the leaderboard here. Danton Rogers is within 6 points of our current leader, his teammate. Back dive in the tuck position. Technically pretty sound dive, a little arch on the come out. This dive in tuck is a little bit less common than a dive performed in in pike position. In the past, it's been performed more often in straight position when degree of difficulty was a little bit of a different calculation. The straight position used to offer an advantage.
A low of 5.5 to a high of 7.5, 6s and 5s in between, a total round score of 28.50 for Jonah Snyder. Tyler Offit quickly off the board.
Very stable front 1 1/2 somersault pike, good height and distance, good vertical entry. Not quite the toe point you'd expect out of a finishing move here. A little loose in the ankles, which we see from the boys from time to time.
Total score 33.15 in the round for Tyler Offit. Ninth diver in this second round is Alex Jones, a senior from Fisher.
Alex doing a nice job. He was ranked 6th heading into our finals here today. Definitely moving forward in the state ranking as he finishes his senior year. Well, a good setup, an excellent spin, great tuck position. Alex didn't quite kick out and look at the water. His first move was to bury his head, then move his legs, and then try to see the water. And with that break in the kinetic chain, the sequence there, the dive continued to rotate beyond vertical.
Scoring range goes no higher than 4, goes to a low of 3, 27-60 for the round, making way for sophomore Brandon Davis of Floyd Central.
You notice the adjustment you mentioned earlier, that the fulcrum there sets the frequency of the board's wavelength, and that's going to be different for every weight and every basic muscle quickness factor with each diver. They're going to prefer it at a certain number, and if that number could change depending on whether they're doing a front approach or a backward approach. This was an inward 2 somersaults in the tuck position. Very well done. Didn't get a complete extension out of the hips, but compared to other inward doubles, if we're going to see any in these finals, but overall, that was a very solid inward double tuck.
Scoring round of 46-20. Next up, Shane Wyoff. He's a senior from West Vigo.
These boys are smart. If they don't hear the exact dive and the exact position that they need to perform, they have to check with the referee. Because if they perform and there's any T not crossed or I not dotted on the table, that's a failed dive. Be a decade or more of experience prior to their high school, start of their high school years. Front full twisting 1.5. Sound mechanics, straight up and straight down movement patterns. Good turn from the hips. Didn't quite grab his hands for the entry, so if there's going to be a deduction, it's going to be on the entry here for Steven.
Point total for the round, 44. That's a good one. A low score of 6. The high score is 7.5. He racks up a lot of 6.5s and 7s. So for Rice, a good round of 44, round number 10. Next up, Joshua Batten, the junior from LaPorte.
Front 2 1/2 somersaults in the pike position. Good jump in terms of height. The rotation started okay and then actually slowed up. The pike got larger instead of smaller into the second and the 2.5 somersaults. So he actually slowed to the finish, went a little short.
With the degree of difficulty at 2.6, a low score of 5 and a high of 8, a lot of 6s and 5s in between. Pretty nice scoring round of 50.70 for young Mr. Joshua Batten, the junior from LaPorte. Next up, Derek Pennington, the Whiteland senior.
Derek somehow found sun in Indiana. Reverse 1.5 somersault in the pike position. Safe distance. He's had trouble with the safe distance on this board, on this particular board, on this particular dive. He actually contacted the board earlier this week at practice. So he put the dive where he needed to in terms of safety, but he didn't have a firm press out. He went a little short.
38.40 the total after round number 10. James Raber, the senior from Valparaiso, up next. Darian Schmidt continues to lead, 462.20. Danton Rogers at 456.25. Alec Beck is right there at 422.65, and then Josh Batten at 392.95.
James Raber, a reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist. Good technique, great twisting action, a little loose in form. That's the one area the judge is going to have trouble going 7 or better.
44.20 the scoring total for that particular round for James Raber. Completing the second round, the freshman from Cathedral, Andrew Kramer.
Just checking on that dive, making sure it's the right one announced.
He remains in the top 10.
Notice Andrew has some wrist guards on. That's common practice for platform divers, keep their wrist a little extra protection when they're diving. Probably not needed on the 1 meter event, but probably also a competitive habit of his. He didn't find any reason to change for a competition day.